Hello, I'm James. Today I want to talk with you about relationships based on need. That's one of the 4 pillars of what I teach to make the world better for us leaners. And so today I'm going to get right into that. The news is just sprinkled today, and it's of Elon Musk and President Trump, their feud. Now we've all seen just recently how close they were. People said bromance. We could see it in their faces, how they seemed just like looking at each other. But today, we have a different story. Now, they're calling each other names, they're bitter, they're trying to figure out how to hurt each other. And we don't know where this is going to go, but you really can't undo what's being done, no matter what happens. My point is not to focus on them. It's just because I've been planning to make this video for some time. Relationships always based on need. And I said always based on need. And I'll share this with you. When I first discovered that, when it came to me, all relationships are based on need. What helped me to reach that conclusion was a conversation that I had with an Amish man up in, I think it's Belleville or Bellevue, Pennsylvania. And what I've noticed by the time I've spent with Amish in the different states, whether it's Pennsylvania, Michigan, just a number of states. So this guy was talking to me about the relationship he had and how the Amish helped each other. And so I wanted to pose a question to him. I said, what is it that when I notice there's a fringe around the Amish, that what they call English, and that's everyone except Amish, there seems to be some kind of a closeness. There seems to be just people appreciate each other. And so I said, what is that? And he looked at me like, you're asking the most basic question. And his answer was very basic. He said, it's really simple. We need each other. I thought, wow, that really is neat. And I've been in Amish homes before and know about someone using the phone. They would go to a person's house who has a phone, the English, and they would bring eggs. And that's an example of needing each other, kind of that fringe I was talking about. And we've seen what people can do when they work together. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and this is not political. It's not intended whatsoever to be political. Just pointing out relationships are always based on need. We not only saw what I'm talking about with Elon and Donald Trump, what we've also saw in not too distant past was a beautiful romance, and the social media was lit up with it, and the news coverage, and that was Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Like, wow, look at the love, just sparkles. Well, then we also got to see those two doing like Elon and Donald Trump. How now they were fighting in court, they were just bitter toward each other, and the kids kind of caught in the middle. But in both of the cases, what happened, what caused this relationship to change was really quite simple. Let's go back to what the Amish man said. We need each other. Well, in Donald Trump and Elon's case, there was things that they weren't getting. Therefore, now they don't need each other as much. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, when the dynamics changed, the need changed, it was really quite simple. They just didn't need each other. The relationship changed. Now here's one of my quotes is, need always opens the door for love to come in, and need will always open the door for love to walk out. I came to this conclusion also from my law practice. When I first started practicing law, what I would hear someone say is like, I don't need this stuff. And I've learned to pick up on that. When someone said, I don't need this anymore, there was no love. The love as I thought it was gone. Remember my quote? The need had opened the door and love had left. So what I want to kind of segue into what I think is the most important part is it's the same thing with families. Families as a unit always need each other. Think of a newborn baby and mom. That relationship is still based on need. And some people have told me this when I've said this. They've said, you know, I don't say need so, but I really like so-and-so. Well, one of the greatest needs we have is someone who charges our spirit. Need's not always about getting some kind of monetary gain or borrowing somebody's lawnmower. A need is, one of our basic needs is someone who waves at us, or someone who just, as I've made in other videos, charges our spirit. But what happens though, when people no longer need somebody? They don't look the same. They're not as attractive to us. They don't sound the same. They don't feel the same. And they don't smell the same. And so what I want you to think about is that spouse you have, or your partner. I say this kind of jokingly sometimes, but if you wanted to give your spouse or partner a free and painless facelift, charge their spirit and let them know how much let them know how much you need them, and let yourself hear how much you need them. There's been plenty of videos made about how important it is to have gratitude, and I agree with that. But I think also that what we're missing is you need to make a list, especially a mental list, and it's better to write it on paper, how much you need that person. You need that wife or husband to be your spirit charger, to be your partner, to always be on call. I know of a situation where, a young woman just had emergency surgery. Her husband was there. It doesn't matter if he was tired. We're always on call for that family unit. And so what I want you to focus on is that relationships are always based on need, but that need is what we have come to call what love is. It doesn't matter if you're in the second grade and you have a crush on that little boy or little girl. It's still based on need. We need that connection. We need that contact. And so in families, it is so important to make that list every day. Think about how much you need somebody. Because if you don't, here's what happens. You will go from a family unit to teams, as I've talked about in other videos. And then you'll find that family unit will be doing like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, or Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Instead of helping each other to move forward to achieve goals, now you're fighting each other, trying to hurt each other. And we kind of have enough of this. Children need that family unit to stay strong. I can recall times that I've seen a couple when I would wonder, like, what is it? Because they may not be on what we would call our most attractive scale, but they look at each other with such depth, and they lean to each other. And I'm thinking, what is that? What is it they see? What is it? But I'm old enough to have been in a number of relationships. I'm also old enough to see what it's like when a relationship goes different, and to be puzzled, like, why don't I see that person the same as I did when we first got together? What happened when that river of time flows by and you no longer have those needs? It's kind of like, I don't know that I even know that person. I don't even know who that person was. There's no connection. And I can remember some people hearing their voice again is like, wow, it just kind of grates on your nerves. But when I think about the people that are so connected, and it's those people who realize they need each other. And if you want to feel what love is, recognize and hold on to it. Hold on to it, because remember what I said? This is real. If you lose the needs, and it goes back to my law practice, if you lose those needs, there's not going to be any love in that relationship, period. And you probably won't get that back. I'll tell you another story that touches my heart about that. And that's Bill and Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates wanted a family. She had a need. I've heard interviews and read what she said a number of times. Not money, not material things. What meant most to her was a family, that family unit, not teams. And I've heard Bill Gates say, what I regret most is I lost that. When the needs changed, all the dynamics changed. And I don't know this. I don't know Bill Gates personally. We've all grown up seeing him, feel like we know him because he's been in the news so much. And Melinda too. But they're still just normal people. They were normal people and kids before they were so wealthy and prominent. But I just got a feeling that Bill Gates would give most of what he has if he could somehow put that unit back together. But you remember the Humpty Dumpty story? That's probably not likely to ever happen because she moved on and that relationship will never be the same. So remember, relationships are always based on need. And remember, need opens the door for love to come in, and need will always open the door for love to go out. There's song lyrics about that. We're just waiting for somebody to need each other. One last point, Jay Leno talks about now how he has to help his wife. And he said there's a need there, there's more love there. And so if you watch the videos that he's doing now, talking about taking care of his wife, how he feels needed, and he says, I think there's more love now than there was. And so as I said, one of the most important things we can do is to recognize relationships are always based on need. So today, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, especially your family unit, even the children, that how much you need them. And then in turn, they will figure out how much they need you. So thank you.